good morning once again, dear students of class 9, and we once again continue with a horse and two goats. And this short story is part of your online test syllabus, so you must pay attention. And today we are going to finish up with the remaining pages of this short story. In our last video, we had done up to page 63. So today we are going to take up page 64 on. And we are going to finish this short story. So I am scrolling up. Please take out your textbooks and please take out page 64 and please try to follow the text as I explain it. Now Muni and this American, this foreigner, they are in conversation, as we already know. Now this man is saying to Muni, lend me a hand and I can lift off the horse from its pedestal after picking out the cement at the joints. Now this horse, the clay horse, which this man wants to buy, he thinks that Muni is the owner of this horse. It is attached to the pedestal. The legs of the horse are attached. The front two legs are raised, but the rear end of the horse and the rear legs, hind legs are actually attached to the pedestal. So he says that I'll scrape off the cement where the horse is attached to the pedestal, and then with your help I can load it into my vehicle. We already know that he is planning to shift the seat, the rear seat, and make room for the horse, and he is going to put it inside the vehicle. At this stage, the mutual mystification was complete, and there was no need even to carry on a guessing game at the meaning of words. The old man chattered away in a spirit of balancing of the credits and debits of conversational exchange. Who is the old man? Muni. And debit and credit, well, you need to be students of commerce to understand that when you make a balance sheet, only students of commerce will understand this, that when they make a balance sheet, there are two sides in a balance sheet, the debit side and the credit side. So income and expenditure. So debit and credit means income and expenditure. So here the conversation between Muni and this American foreign tourist was something like debit and credit. That's what the author means to say. So he said, in order to be on the credit side, "Oh, honorable one, I hope God has blessed you with numerous progeny." Now, in Muni's mind, this is a very typical way of thinking, Indian way of thinking, that if you are a happy person, then you must be having many children, and you are married, you are settled, you have a family with many children. So this is an Indian concept, not an American concept. Anyway, Muni, who has not had children of his own, he is saying this to the foreigner, saying that you must be blessed by God and you must be having a number of children, because Muni doesn't have any children. And we know Muni is craving for a child because he was talking about his daughter sending him money when he went to the grocery store to buy things on credit. So he always aspired, always desired that he should also have children like other people in the village have. But unfortunately, Muni and his wife don't have children of their own. So anyway, here God must have blessed you with numerous progeny. I say this because you seem to be a good man, willing to stay beside an old man and talk to him. So Muni has come to this conclusion because this man, this foreigner, this American, he was kind enough to sit beside Muni and talk to him for such a long time. And in the beginning of this video, I have given you an opening, you can say introduction sort of a thing with pictures, where you must have seen how this man, this American, was talking to Muni standing in front of the horse. Now that is taken from Malgudi Days, the TV series, and I have taken a few scenes from that particular television serial, and I have used the stills to just give meaning to the conversation that I am talking about here between Muni and this American. So he says that you are a kind man, you are a good man, God must have blessed you with number of children, because you were sitting by me, I am an old man, and you were talking to me, while all day I have none to talk to except when somebody stops by to ask for a piece of tobacco. So nobody talks to me. Muni is an unimportant person, and even in his village also he is an unimportant person. So he says that nobody talks to me. You are such a nice man that you stopped your car, you came here and you talked so much with me, you sat beside me, so I am very happy, he says. So the only time people talk to me are when they want to ask for some tobacco from me. So that is the only time they talk. Otherwise, no one talks. But I seldom have it. Now people stop to ask me for tobacco, but I hardly ever have tobacco. Tobacco is not what it used to be at one time, and I have given up chewing. So he chews tobacco. That is what what you call khaini in Indian terms. It is khaini. So he says that I used to chew tobacco. There was a time when I used to chew tobacco, but I don't do it anymore. Obviously, because he doesn't have the money to buy. So that's what he's saying, that I've given up chewing. I cannot afford it nowadays. Now, affordability is not there. He cannot even buy that tobacco which he can chew. Noting the other's interest in his speech, Muni felt encouraged to ask, "How many children have you?" So now he's asking the American, "How many children do you have?" With appropriate gestures with his hands. So he is making gestures with his hands. How many children do you have? So he's asking, how many children do you have? Realizing that a question was being asked, the red man replied, "I said 100. So just imagine. This is where the humor always comes in. Muni is asking about how many children he has, and the man is saying, "I said 100. Now this is happening in such rapid succession that to the audience, the one who is observing, watching, or seeing the performance, obviously it is something very funny. Because the foreigner is not replying to Muni's question actually, though it seems that Muni has asked and he is replying, but what he has asked and what he has replied are completely two different things. And the man is talking about 100 rupees which he has pledged to give to Muni, which encouraged Muni to go into details. How many of your children are boys and how many girls? Where are they? Is your daughter married? Now in India, if you have a daughter, then the marriage of the daughter is something very important. I mean, ever since a daughter is born, the family always talks about when she is going to grow up and when she is going to get married. So everything centers around her marriage. So this is very typically Indian, and Muni is asking how many children you have, how many boys, how many girls, and where are your children right now? Is your daughter married or not? Is it difficult to find a son-in-law in your country also? So, see, in India, difficult to find. God knows whether we'll be able to find an appropriate son-in-law for our daughter. Always the worry of the parents. But with that concept, Muni is asking this question. In answer to these questions, the red man dashed his hand into his pocket and brought forth his wallet in order to take immediate advantage of the bearish trend in the market. So bull market and bear market. So he takes out his wallet. He wants to pay Muni straight away. In the stock market, bull market and bear market, stock market, what you do is when you see the opportunity, you invest. Now this man saw the opportunity. He thought or felt that Muni is talking about money. Muni is talking about the payment. So he must immediately give him the money, lest Muni should change his mind suddenly. If Muni changes his mind, then the foreigner will not be able to buy the horse statue. So he immediately takes out his wallet and he immediately tries to pay Muni. He flourished a 100 rupee currency note and said, "Well, this is what I meant. Well, this is what I wanted to give you." He takes out the note and he shows it to Muni. The old man now realized that some financial element was entering in their talk. Now Muni does not understand anything what is going on. So now when he sees the money, the man is showing the money. So Muni thinks maybe there is something related to money, some money matter which this man is referring to. He peered closely at the currency note, the like of which he had never seen in his life. Muni in his entire life had probably never seen a 100 rupee note. Now in those days, a 100 rupee note was, or 100 rupees as such, was a lot of money. Perhaps equal to 1000 rupees now or 2000 rupees. So something like that. So for Muni it was a huge amount, enormous amount. So he was peering closely to look at the note. He knew the 5 and 10 by their colors. Now of course Muni has never gone to school. He is illiterate, so he doesn't know know the notes by the number written on them. He knows them by their color. And so the 5 rupee notes and 10 rupee notes, he knows them by their colors, although always in other people's hands. He has never held in his own hands, but he has seen in the hands of other people. While his own earning at any time was in coppers and nickels. So whatever Muni earned, whatever little he could ever earn, was always in coins, never in paper currency. What was this man flourishing the note for? Perhaps asking for change? He laughed to himself at the notion of anyone coming to him for changing 1,000 or 10,000 rupee note. So Muni thought this man is asking for change. And he laughed to himself. Imagine someone asking Muni for change. Muni, who does not have anything in his pocket. So he laughed to himself. He said with a grin, so with a broad smile showing his teeth, he said, ask our village headman, who is also a money lender. You have to go and ask the headman of our village. He is also into money lending business, just like Shylock, in the Merchant of Venice. So the village headman, he is the richest and he is into money lending business. You can go and talk to him. You can ask him. Maybe he can give you change. He can change even 1,00,000 of rupees in gold sovereigns if you prefer it that way. He thinks nobody knows, but dig the floor of his puja room and your head will reel. Reeling means you will feel dizzy at the sight of the hoard. Hoard means the store or the stock of money that he keeps hidden under the floor of his puja room. Well, that is what is rumored. Whether it is true or not is a different question, but Muni puts it that way. Anyway, he thinks nobody knows, but we know. So Muni claims that he knows. The man disguises himself in rags just to mislead the public. So he moves about wearing very torn, tattered clothes just to misguide the public. Talk to the headman yourself, because he goes mad at the sight of me. Someone took away his pumpkins with the creeper, and he, for some reason, thinks it was me and my goats. So you have to go and talk to him yourself, because I will not be able to speak on behalf of you. Why? Because he had some pumpkins in his kitchen garden, and somebody took away those pumpkins, and the man thinks that I am responsible for it. I must have taken away his pumpkins. So because he thinks this way, he cannot tolerate me. Therefore, I will not ask him. You have to go and ask him directly. He thinks that my goats have eaten up the creeper and the pumpkins. That's why I never let my goats be seen anywhere near the farms. So I don't allow my goats go near the farms. And Muni is speaking the truth, because we can see that he has taken his goats out of the village for grazing. Plus, he carries that long stick which has a hook at its end, and with which he pulls down branches and leaves from different trees as he takes his goats out for grazing. So he provides food to his 2 pets, but people, especially this headman, he has a different concept altogether about Muni, which is not true. So anyway, his eyes travel to his goats, nosing about, attempting to wrest nutrition from minute greenery peeping out of rock and dry earth. Now these goats were nibbling at the tiny bits of grass and other such foliage which were growing out of the rocks and also the dry earth. So Muni points at his goats, and the foreigner followed his look and decided that it would be a sound policy to show an interest in the old man's pets. So since he wants to buy the horse statue, he wants to please Muni by showing some interest towards his goats. And this will create more confusion and misunderstanding. Let's see what happens. He went up casually to the goats, and stroked their backs with every show of courteous attention. Now the truth dawned on the old man. As soon as the foreigner went and stroked the goats on their backs, Muni realized, or thought he understood, that this foreigner is actually wanting to buy his 2 goats. And that is why he was showing him the money. And Muni starts thinking, 100 rupees for 2 goats is a lot of money. As I told you, this story dates back to many years ago from now. Naturally, therefore, 100 rupees had a lot of value in those days, equivalent to 2000 or 3000 rupees, something like that. So, if this man is offering me 100 rupees, I should immediately, it's a bargain, I should immediately sell my goats to him. Muni starts thinking this way. So, his dream of a lifetime was about to be realized. He understood that the red man was actually making an offer for the goats. He had reared them up in the hope of selling them someday, and with the capital, opening a small shop on this very spot. Sitting here, watching towards the hills, he had often dreamt how he would put up a thatched roof here, spread a gunny sack out on the ground, and display on it fried nuts, colored sweets, and green coconut for the thirsty and famished wayfarers of the highway. So Muni had always thought that he would sell off his goats one day, and then with the money that he got, he will open a shop. What kind of shop? A makeshift, you can say, shed, thatched roof with bamboo poles, 4 bamboo poles and thatched roof, and a gunny bag to spread out down below, and then he will be selling these things on the roadside. So this was his plan. This was his dream, in fact, that one day he will become a shopkeeper. So he would be able to sell coconuts to the thirsty, famished wayfarers or people traveling by the road on the highway, which was sometimes very busy. The animals were not prize ones for a cattle show. So his 2 goats were not really of the best variety. So not really suitable for any kind of animal show or anything. So it was better if he could sell them off. They were just ordinary ones. So he decided that he will do that. But he had spent his occasional savings to provide them some fancy diet now and then, and they did not look too bad. So the goats were not really thin and lean. They were not starved. They were not famished. And so that is what Muni thinks, that now he is getting this offer because he has maintained his goats really very well. So while he was reflecting thus, the red man shook his hand. So with that we finish 65 and move on to page 66. So this man shakes hand with Muni and left on his palm 100 rupees in tens now, suddenly realizing that this was what the old man was asking. It is all for you, or you may share it if you have a partner. So the foreigner says, he gives 10 rupee notes instead of one single 100 rupee note. He gives him 10 rupee notes, and he says, all this money is yours. Why does he do it? So that it should look more in quantity. So he is trying to fool this poor old villager from an Indian village by giving him so many notes. He says, it's all yours. You can keep it, entire amount you can keep, otherwise you can share with your partner if you have a partner. Of course, Muni has a partner, his wife. And so the foreigner says that this is all yours. The old man pointed at the station wagon and asked, are you carrying them off in that? So Muni pointed at the station wagon, the vehicle. So are you planning to take the goods with you in that vehicle? Yes, of course, said the other, understanding the transportation part of it. So now the man, the American response, this time it's a correct response, maybe the onlyest time when he responds correctly. Yes, of course, I am going to use that for transporting the horse, not the goats. So the misunderstanding is that Muni thinks that the man will take the goats away in the station wagon, but the American man means to say that he is going to make use of the station wagon, no doubt, but he will make use of it to carry away the horse statue. The old man said, this will be their first ride in a motor car. So Muni is excited. Although he has never got a chance, at least his goats will be riding a car, and first time ever in their lives. So Muni is feeling very happy. Otherwise they will never, so he says, this will be their first ride in a motor car. Carry them off after I get out of sight. Otherwise they will never follow you, but only me, even if I am traveling on the path to Yamaloka. These 2 goats, they always follow me around, and so don't try to pick them up and put them in the car before I leave this place. I will sneak out of this place, quietly go away from here, and then suddenly the goats will be busy grazing, they won't notice I have moved off, and then you can pick them up one by one and put them in the car and drive off. Because these goats, they have a very bad habit that if I even go to Yamloka, they will follow me after. They will follow after me. He laughed at his own joke, brought his palms together in a salute. Indian salute is like this. Nowadays, due to the global pandemic, we are always like this. Okay? So this is the way he says, Namaste, bye. Turned around and went off and was soon out of sight beyond a clump of thicket. Muni has taken the 100 rupees in 10 rupee currency notes and has given his instructions to the foreigner and has left the scene. Now we have only two goats, the horse statue and the American, the red-faced American. Let's see what happens. The red man looked at the goats grazing peacefully, perched on the pedestal of the horse, as the westerly sun touched off the ancient faded colors of the statue with a fresh splendor. Splendor means brightness. He ruminated, he thought over whatever has happened so far. He was just trying to go through it in his mind. He must be gone to fetch some help, I suppose. So the American thinks that because he has requested Muni to help him pick up the horse statue and put it in his car, and Muni has gone, so the foreigner thinks that Muni must have gone to bring someone, or maybe some helping hand, some people who can come from the village and help out. So the foreigner is waiting, but in vain. Muni has gone home. He doesn't understand that and settled down to wait. When a truck came downhill, he stopped it and got the help of a couple of men to detach the horse from its pedestal and place it in his station wagon. He gave them 5 rupees each, and for a further payment, they siphoned off gas from the truck and helped him to start his engine. So, since it was a truck, there was diesel in the fuel tank, and with the help of the trucker and his helpers, he removed the horse statue and he placed it finally inside his station wagon. And then he paid 5 rupees each for helping him to those people from the truck. And then with a little more money, he purchased some amount of diesel fuel from the truck. It was siphoned off with the help of a pipe into his station wagon's tank. And then he was ready to move off. In the meantime, so his engine started. He must have already started off. The American is gone. He has driven off. Now we come to what happens back at home when Muni returns with 100 rupees. Let's see what happens. Muni hurried homeward with the cash securely tucked away in his waist in his dhoti. He shut the street door and stole up softly to his wife as she squatted before the lit oven, wondering if by a miracle food would drop from the sky. Muni displayed his fortune for the day. She snatched the notes from him. Muni took out first he closed the door. Then he quietly sneaked up to his wife because he was having money and he was scared. If somebody finds out, he could be called a thief, because Muni was never seen with so much money. And then he takes out the money and he holds it before his wife, and she snatches it from his hands, counted them by the glow of the fire and cried, 100 rupees! How did you come by it? Have you been stealing? Of course, his wife will think that way, because Muni can never, at the age of 70, can never do so much of work that in one day or just half a day he can earn 100 rupees. So with that we come to the end of page 66, and we are in the last page now. Let's see. I have sold our goats to a red-faced man. He was absolutely crazy to have them. Gave me all this money and carried them off in his motor car. Muni explains. Hardly had these words left his lips when they heard bleating outside. His two goats had come back. They were bleating outside. Bleating is the sound made by the goats. She opened the door and saw the two goats at her door. Here they are, she said. What's the meaning of all this? Now, of course, Muni's wife is amazed, shocked, puzzled, not able to understand. Her husband is telling her that he sold the goats, but the goats are just outside the door. He muttered a great curse and seized one of the goats by its ears and shouted, "Where is that man? Don't you know you are his?" "Where is the man? I already gave you away to that man. You belong to him. Why did you come back?" The goat only wriggled in his grip. Of course, the animal will not be able to answer. He asked the same question of the other two. Then he asked the second goat also the same question. The goat shook itself off, as animals would do. His wife glared at him and declared, "If you have thieved, if you have stolen money from someone, the police will come tonight and break your bones. Don't involve me. I will go away to my parents." Do you think Muni's wife at this age has her parents? So that's where the story comes to an end. And we have seen how a horse and two goats brings out so much of humor through the conversation that takes place between the foreigner, the red-faced American, and Muni, the 70-year-old villager from Kritam in Tamil Nadu. So that's it. I hope you have understood. And with this, we come to the end of this short story and this video. Thank you very much. God bless you all.